Well, good morning, good afternoon to you. Welcome to this week's Tech Talk and this month's coverage of new partner introductions. So if you are a partner with us and just want to hear about new products, or if you're a new partner with us and want to learn more about Zyxel, this is the place to be. So thank you for being here. Again, welcome. My name is Tri Nguyen. I am the channel sales manager and product manager here at Zyxel USA here in Anaheim, California. And we have a lot of slides to cover, but I want you to be able to participate. This is a interactive kind of webinar. If you wouldn't mind, feel free to use the Q&A section to send me questions. You don't have to use the chat box, but the Q&A helps me to manage it a little bit better. So use the Q&A, send me any questions you have throughout the webinar, and I'll try to get to those in line as we go through. And like I said, we have a lot of slides to cover, so I'm going to be, in general, going pretty quickly through it all. And again, it's about stirring kind of the opportunities, stirring the mindset for you as partners to kind of think through, and in case you have certain applications or certain solutions that you're looking for, you will be able to remember, oh, hey, something, I remember something from the webinar that Zyxel has something. So then you can reach out to us, to our sales reps, to to figure out what's the best options for you. So let's go ahead and dive right in. If you don't know who Zyxel is, we are Zyxel Networks. We have been in business since 1989, over 30 years, 600 employees worldwide, 700,000 devices in businesses, 100 million devices worldwide, serving 150 markets. We also hit a milestone of over 200,000 devices in our Nebula Cloud platform. We also are represented by 3 sales reps. If you are working in any of these states here on this map, feel free to reach out to any of them. David handles the East, Andy handles the West, and Jacob handles the Central area. And they are your advocates. So contact them if you have questions, if you need solutions questions, so they can bring together our systems engineers or tech support, or help you with the distribution side of things to get product, or find pricing and things like that. So they're there for you to call upon whenever you need to. So work with them on that. It's part of the benefits of being a channel partner with us at Zyxel. We are internationally recognized for our innovation and design. We design a lot of the hardware and the software in the products. And so we are able to work with partners to deliver those to the market. We have been certified by ICSA Labs, so you can trust us for, over the last 20 years straight. We've been certified with them, especially for our security testing, our security appliances. And so we co-interrupt with other solutions out there that are also ICSA certified. We are a solutions-driven company. We want to work with you as clients and partners and your end users to deliver complete solutions. So from the hardware to the software, and if you have any feature requests, feature functions, or even issues with certain types of integrations, we're here to help you. Because we make the hardware and the software, we're able to help to define either new products or help to integrate the systems and work with all those systems to deliver with our R&D, any feature requests or feature function upgrades. But if anything from today, if you can't remember anything else, just keep in mind that Zyxel has product that kind of satisfies anything within the network. So anything that plugs into any kind of network, Zyxel probably has something that provides you a solution for that. We have security appliances that provide VPN access, UTM security, enterprise level security functionalities, wireless solutions with Wi-Fi 6, managed, unmanaged, also cloud managed there. The switching networks for your core network. We have solutions for, fiber to the home, fiber to the premise, fiber delivery with 10 gig, 2.5 gig, 5 gig, multi-gig solutions with and without PoE, PoE plus, and multi-gig PoE plus plus, the ultra PoE solutions as well. Gateway solutions for hospitality, access, LTE router gateways, and then being able to manage it not only in a standalone mode, but also manage it in the cloud. And so all of our solutions now have been moved into the cloud solution to do that. So one of the things I want to touch up on is a very important topic, and it's one of the, I would say, more specialized type products in the the product in the solution portfolio that we have today. And especially dealing with specific types of competitors. There's a lot of low-end routers that you can get off the market today. You can just take it off the shelf, but they're typically just SPI firewalls. And most businesses are, if they are businesses, they need bigger or better protection against different network threats. So we want to be able to inform you and you as partners to kind of evangelize this to your customers on how to protect their businesses against this, and also use specific features that can enable them to be more productive. So we want to create better, smarter ways for businesses to protect themselves. And we provide security solutions that really pack a punch. It has speed, efficiency. We have the high level defense systems to protect the networks. We're dedicated to providing those, and again, informing you, training you up as partners to deliver these solutions and this message to your customers, because we think it's very important that threats are always on the rise. 54% of small businesses think that they're actually too small for cyber attacks. Yet, kind of an individual can be attacked by different viruses or malware or ransomware. 47% of small businesses have no way of understanding even how to protect themselves. So this is where you as partners and value-added resellers come in, and as MSPs to provide a solution to the customers to protect against that. 43% of them are small businesses in terms of breach victims. And again, they don't know what's going on, and they don't even realize that they're being attacked. There's an increase, massive increase, 424% increase in small businesses in cyber attack breaches last year. We also have that every 39 seconds, there's some sort of hacker attack on a business. 54% of small businesses don't have a plan in place to react to cyber attacks. So not only do they not even know that they're being attacked, but they don't even know how to react to it if they are, if once they realize what's going on. So really, it's just a matter of time when they get hit. Most of the time, people think, especially small businesses, will say, well, I'm too small, it won't happen to me, and it's a matter of time that it does happen, because a lot of these threats, they're not seeking, very specific companies per se, but they're seeking kind of any host in terms of if they can get information from you or use your computers in the network to launch further attacks. David has a question. I'm already a partner, but need to speak someone further, but understand Nebula Platform, how to renew our firewall subscription. Yeah, definitely, David, reach out. If you are, reach out to our sales reps there. You have a dedicated sales rep, depending on which state you're in. We have our East, West, and Central. If you don't know exactly who, you can always send an email to sales@zyxel.com, and one of those three gentlemen there will pick it up. But make sure you state which state you're in. So make sure you include that information so that the appropriate person can reach out to you, and they can train you on that part. But we will talk how you renew things through on this webinar as well. So if you stick around, we'll hit some of that Nebula stuff and also the subscriptions that you may need for your firewalls through Nebula. So if it being a matter of time, most people, there's a lot more applications being pushed to the cloud, much more connectivity that's being needed. And so it's really pushing the limits of hardware firewalls, because not only are they having to protect the users, but be able to protect the users at much higher speeds. And typically, users may have 3-4 devices. They're doing voice, video, data. There's server backups that are happening in the background. And they're able to find nowadays, especially in the home, anywhere from 100 megs to 1 gigabit speeds of internet connectivity. And that's really putting pressure on the firewalls themselves. And it's really easy to do a speed test. So if I got, a 1 gig connection at my home, I'm going to do a speed test. And if I find it out to be, much lower than I expected, then that's going to be a problem, right? And so the firewalls themselves in a lot of these locations may need to be upgraded. And also the speeds at the internet connection at the office itself would have to be increased as well, because most of the users are now working remotely. And so we have some solutions that can help with that, to be able to increase your upload speeds at the office and then be able to service users that are working from home or working from remote in a secure, easier fashion. So security things that you have to think about in the firewalls that we provide, things like high availability for VPN for that remote access using GRE tunneling, active load balancing, all those kinds of things. Ethernet load balancing, WAN load balancing, failover, multi-WAN load balancing. Again, these are kind of features that you would use to increase your internet speeds. Virtual VPN tunnels to increase the VPN capacity of devices or between locations. You can do that. For remote access, we provide SSL VPN capabilities to use your browser to make secure connections back to the office, or using L2TP which is built into a lot of browsers and clients that are out there to call into the office. Or you can use IPsec and be able to configure. And we've created some tools and zero configuration methods for you to handle those VPN connections between client devices, laptops, remote laptops to the back to the office, and be able to do it really remotely, robustly and securely. Be able to provide high throughput at the highest levels of encryption in the market today. So the products also come with things like antivirus, intrusion detection, content filtering, application intelligence, so you can block different types of behavior. If you're looking for ways to block social media, or to block certain types of websites, or even block certain types of applications like BitTorrent, or people downloading illegal music and movies and things. These are the types of security appliances that are needed in that. And then be able to enforce policies by geolocation. So integrating ways where traffic are coming in, people coming out, or even VPN tunnels being built from maybe countries that you don't expect any of your users to be at. We can block against that. So again, it helps to mitigate threats, help to mitigate security breaches that can happen just even by using the IP addresses that they come from. Using technologies like sandboxing to discover new threats, having botnet malware blockers to protect against ransomware, and be able to use a cloud query engine to do that. Intrusion detection in certain applications like not hospitality, but for retail, for PCI compliancy, or even hospitals for HIPAA compliancy. In the healthcare industry, that's something that you would need there as well. And looking at things like reputation filters for certain IPs or addresses that can be malicious or can be blocked, so that we can take that and block against that. Does Nebula offer geo enforcement to block connections from certain countries? Yes, it does. So it should be available in our new any of our new Usg Flex models, as well as our ATP models. So the security appliances will be also available with integrated Wi-Fi controllers in a standalone mode, or even hotspot management in standalone. Or if you're using the Usg Flex in the Nebula, then there's a hotspot management function in the Nebula platform as well. So one thing I wanted to reiterate, we have kind of 3 layers of products. We call them Simplicity, Flexibility, and Ultimate. And these are the 3 series. The Simplicity is all about VPN. So it's a VPN series. They're all numbered and labeled VPN 100, 300, and 1000 because they primarily focus on VPN. They do have some content filtering functions, services there that you can add on to it, but it's all about either SD-WAN functionality for prioritization of packets, or building VPN tunnels from office to remote offices. So that's kind of its main focus, main feature, and it has high throughput, high numbers of VPN. If you were looking for something to standardize on that's more flexible, the Usg Flex is that series for you. It still offers those VPN functionalities, but gives you enhanced high performance UTM options, either bundled or non-bundled versions. So it depends on whether or not you want to buy them a la carte, or add them enabled with the full UTM features that are available there. So it's all about flexibility. So you can manage it not only in a standalone mode, but now available in the Nebula Control Center. So be able to control that in our Nebula Cloud platform, and still be able to provide enterprise class type features like device high availability. So you can have multiple devices, making sure that those connections, or those, the firewall itself never goes down, especially today when it's very important for those devices to stay online and up and going, because then remote users can still access it. Or maybe those services are going into the cloud where you need to have access all the time. So it's very important to make sure that they're always up and going. The ATP is our ultimate series. It's our highest flagship level of security appliances, because it does offer something that we call sandbox. So it's able to use AI and cloud technology to identify new threats in a sandbox, and be able to kind of create threat management signatures and things like that on the fly to help mitigate those zero-day type threats. Also, botnet or reputation filter functionalities are in there as well to protect against certain URLs, certain addresses. So it's kind of like the superset of all the features that are available. And today it is also now available in the Nebula Cloud. So you can manage it both in standalone and in the cloud. So these are just kind of the highlights of the features, the major feature sets between the VPN, the Usg Flex, and the ATP. You can always screenshot this, or if you want, we have a battle card. So reach out to our sales rep. They have battle cards that will provide you this kind of information on the differences of these models. The performances on them are, fairly similar, but in terms of its numbering, in terms of where it's positioned for different types of customers. But work with our sales rep to figure out which one is best for your customers, so you can get an idea and get comfortable with what products will fit best in your specific applications. We've partnered with some of the best and leading security specialists out there to provide those security services on our firewalls. Partners like McAfee, WebRoot, Lastline, Trend Micro, and Bitdefender, providing all different types of layers. Because with security threat, there's no one answer to protect against everything. So you have to have multi-layer, different products or different solutions that can counter all the different types of threats that are going through, potentially go through the network, both inbound and outbound traffic. We've also increased our capacity by introducing what we call express mode into our security appliances, where we use a cloud query to check files and stuff like that that are against a known database of malicious files or malicious type things. And it's also integrated with our cloud functionality. So that's where the cloud learning and the AI comes into play. But this really helps to speed up not having to scan packet by packet on these to be able to figure out what kind of threats are there. So we can increase throughput, increase performance on the products by providing this as its first layer of check. Of course, we still have a deep scan mode, the stream mode. The main difference is that the ATP provides both. You can do hybrid mode where it does both cloud and stream mode at the same time. Whereas the USG Flexes only can choose between cloud or stream mode, depending on your application. But in general, compared to the previous generation of UTM type products, and this is where you may see the benefit of it, especially with the increase in connectivity of WAN connections today, that there could be up to 500% increase in UTM performance. And this is actually not counting the cloud query increase as well. This is just straight up UTM performance compared to the previous generation. So the USG 40 moving up to the USG Flex 100, you can see there, that's the kind of the increases that you see there for UTM, and also for the firewall, SPI firewall rules that can be up to 125% increase there as well. So the models are kind of spread out. The naming convention starts at like a USG Flex 100. Those you can see the throughput there, the different SPI throughputs. The main function of it is, or for you to figure out, well, which models do I choose for my customer? If you're doing UTM, that is kind of the lowest common denominator or the most intensive in terms of scanning and performance. And so you would look at the UTM throughput on the datasheet, which involves the AV and the IDP packet scanning. That's layer 7 packet scanning. That, for example, the USG Flex, let's see, the USG Flex 100 here, you can see it shows 360 megabits per second. So 360 megabits per second, you want to take about 50 to 60% of that number, and that will give you kind of a good idea of where really ultimately the speed should be for your customer. So I would say that's great for like a 250 meg connection for a customer there. So it doesn't really matter too much on how many users are in there. It's all more so about the throughput itself. So that's how you kind of gauge it. Take about 50 to 60% of that number, and that's who you install to. And if it's too low, if you don't have enough bandwidth there, then you want to move up to the other series. So the USG Flex 200 increases and bumps it up to 550 max, and further the 500 and the 700 give you further speeds there. And we also made it flexible for your migration from the USG series to the USG Flex series. So if you have some customers that are out there today that are using the legacy USGs, we want to make sure that you understand that we help you to migrate those customers to the new USG Flex platform. We make it easy for you. We try to simplify it, especially because in the past, customers didn't want to migrate because maybe they still had 6 months or 9 months of the old services left, and they don't want to move to the new platform because they'll feel like they're going to waste those months of services that they've already paid for. So what we've done is, for example, if you have a USG out in the field today and they have various different expiration dates on the licenses, this is kind of an extreme case. Typically, they're pretty normalized already. But either way, The latest one here, the one that has the longest service left, is the content filtering at 7 months. What we actually do is when you migrate over to the Usg Flex, we will normalize all of those services and extend them for free so that when you get the new Usg Flex, those will all have 7 months of services in the new platform. Now, this is if you're just buying a hardware only kind of transfer. So I'm going from a Usg to Usg Flex, but we do offer hardware that comes with 1 year as well, bundled with it. So in that example, in the bundled services, you still get the 12 months of the bundled service, and then we add the 7 months of services that you had from the previous Usg to that. So in this kind of example, you get 19 months of service. So really, it gives you kind of a no-brain whenever the customer is ready to upgrade over to the new platform. So if you're running maybe a cloud-only product from Zyxel, an NSG model, those are the appropriate models to move up to. And then the legacy USG 40, 60s, 110, 210s, 310s, et cetera, those are all moving to this side, to those USG Flex models. Now, if you are still confused on kind of what the mapping is per se, the USG Flex 100 is also named USG 40 V2. So that's kind of its subname. So you can still use its model like description to find out, which one is the appropriate one to move from. So we try to do that to make it as simple as possible as we go through and went through this new kind of naming convention. But now that these naming conventions are normalized, you'll find out that the VPN series, the ATP series, and the USG Flex series, those numbers kind of match up. So if you have a customer that typically would have been using a USG 40, and now they would need to use the USG Flex 100, they can also upgrade to an ATP 100 or be on just a VPN 100. And those are kind of all within the same lines of performance. So it's just about the feature sets that you were required to get, where you need to go up or you need to go down in that platform. Now, I know David had a question there about how to manage licenses. Right now, how you want to manage licenses is with Circle. If you already are using myzyxel.com, you need a myzyxel.com account. So go to myzyxel.com and create an account. Or if you've installed a USG or a firewall or a Nebula product, you probably already have an account there as well. When you go to the MyZyxel, there's a little 3 dots in the corner that gives you access to all the other applications. There's one link there that says Circle. Click on Circle, and if you have not yet applied to Circle, you can just fill out some information, and you, as a partner, you get access to Circle, which is a partner license management platform, and it gives you also your partner pricing there, and also it brings in and imports all the devices that you manage within MyZyxel. So not only your own devices, but any devices that you are managing for your customers can be also imported. So what this does is it helps you to buy and renew those licenses very easily, because you could just have to name the devices as appropriate so you can recognize who they are and be able to select the devices that are expiring and then go through a checkout process on what services you want to add to it. Is it the bundle or is it just these a la carte services? And then go through a checkout. And once you check out and you finish payment, then it's automatically added to that device. So all the licenses, you don't need to worry about keys or anything like that. But Circle does still provide you an access to purchase license keys. So you can still go through a menu system to find out the different types of services that you can purchase for any of the Zyxel products, so that you can buy those keys, get them at the discounted price, and then maybe install it to a customer that you're not directly managing in the MyZyxel site. But that's probably the best way to manage those services is within the Circle and within MyZyxel, because it gives you visibility on when those services expire. And then every time you log into Circle, it kind of reminds you of that information and gives you that access. You can even do reporting. You can do things like that to find out maybe, who are your customers that are expiring within the next 60 days so that you can go and pursue them and, invoice them or whatever you may need to do to get to maintain their services and keep them live and running. So it's very important to go there and make sure you have an account there and get those approved so you can move to that new platform. If you are doing anything related to AWS on Amazon or Azure on Microsoft side on the cloud, any kind of cloud applications, we are one of 7 brands in the world that have access or have been certified and approved for both Amazon and Microsoft Azure. So if you have any of those applications, definitely use our firewalls for that as a low cost, or maybe an alternative to some of the other enterprise level type products that provide this. So we are certified with that. So you can find more information on that. With UTM, conventional UTM, so just a little bit education, I guess, piece. Conventional UTM requires you to use some sort of signature, heuristics, reputation, something known, right, in order to figure out, is it good or is it bad? So it's something that is known in a signature base. So that's how it's patched and that's how it's handled. But the problem with conventional UTM is that there are things that are kind of in the gray area. It looks suspicious, but you can't block it, because if you are too tight on your security, no traffic pretty much will pass through. So some of those things can't be identified easily. So ATP series, or our most advanced threat management protection solution, uses sandboxing and AI in the cloud to manage that. We can conquer unknown threats by sending that into a sandbox and be able to look at and to make something that is previously unknown into something known. And we use a cloud intelligence there that we share with the provider that we use, as well as be able to knowledge share across all products that use this cloud in the world. So all of our devices that use this AI cloud, it grows stronger every time there's any kind of attack, because it creates new signatures. And how that works is just a simple example of, let's say there's a file, let's say it's a zip file that comes in, it's an unknown file, and we don't know what to do with it. We can actually send it off to the sandbox automatically. It emulates that, it opens it up, it tries to look to see if there's any weird patterns, any weird connections that are there. It kind of determines if it's malicious or not, and then be able to take action, either to create like a signature, create some defense intelligence, and then provide these new signature databases into that cloud, and then be able to download those into all the different devices that are using this. So all the ATPs, if one is attacked, then eventually all of them will be inoculated and be able to protect against those attacks. So that's our advanced threat protection product. Here is our ATP 100 series. You can see those are the throughputs, capacities. They come bundled with, fully loaded with all the services that you need, all in there. And as well, it includes the gold security pack, includes 1 year of the Nebula platform as well. So you have your Nebula Pro platform in the cloud to manage it there as well. So we have our ATP 500, 700, and we have an extra model there compared to the Usg Flexes. We have an ATP 800 that is even higher in that throughput with that. So I wanted to talk about our award-winning Nebula platform. It is our cloud IT management tool, and it is all about zero hassle network, a free network management opportunity here that you have. If you have never built a platform before, you know how difficult it is to manage the network. You have to either punch holes in firewalls, you have to build VPN tunnels so that you can get a back door. You have to install either a machine back there to get access, so you can remote into it to get access to the local side network. So there's a lot of things that potentially could open up security holes, but also is a lot of work to manage it, to monitor it, to send you alerts, alarms, to get that visibility. But we've kind of made it all simple. We put it all together into a cloud platform where it allows for you to even set it up without even unboxing it. The boxes have QR codes on them. The belly label of the products themselves also have QR codes where you can actually register and add those devices via a mobile app into your account and be able to apply them to specific sites or specific customers. And so therefore, because of that, you can actually configure the device before you even take it out of the box. So you can pre-configure it, your IT can manage that, and be able to configure how it should be, and even do things like cookie cutters and copy and pasting them to new customers that you have, and then changing it before actually submitting and deploying the product itself. So it really is a matter of minutes to get up and running. As long as the product gets internet connectivity, it's able to download the firmware, download its configuration file, gets its identity on who it belongs to, what its function is, and be able to turn on. So it's really simple to do that. And it doesn't take any additional hardware. You can just use the devices there themselves. There's no extra cloud key. There's no computer that you have to install. There's no agent thing that you have to install on that side, in the local side or anything. No extra VPN tunnels that you need to build. So there are no additional softwares to be able to manage it. Now, so here's kind of an advantage example. You may have a reach of customers that is only within a kind of a driving distance. But you can now expand beyond that by being able to ship them product that's already pre-configured, or I mean pre-scanned for a configuration, so that that install kit goes to the customer. They only need special instruction or easy instruction to plug, the gateway into the WAN connection, plug the switch into the gateway, and plug the access point into the switch. And once everything is powered up and everything gets internet connectivity by DHCP or however method you've kind of instituted there, then it calls home and says, hey, who do I belong to? And then grabs all its configuration. So now you have a reach beyond and outside your driving distance to maintaining these kind of customers. So it really opens up a new field. We have partners who use even third-party installers who, like app installers, or even, people who just do basic network connectivity. Not even you have to worry about configuring anything, because as long as somebody knows how to power up the network, then you can take care of that yourself. And because of that, you can connect to it and have access to all of that information anywhere there's internet connectivity, anywhere you have a browser. So your tablets, your mobile devices, your PCs, your, wherever you may be, as long as you have connectivity, you can get information visibility in that, be able to do full configuration. You also have a dedicated app that gives you access to some of those functions and to troubleshoot things as well. And you can then configure things and manage, guest network connectivity. You can customize captive portal. You can do self-serve options for clients and guests through that as well, through that hotspot, being able to do the captive portal functionality and be able to provide, really high level of wireless connectivity to that too. I think the cloud really benefits for the Wi-Fi management, because typically most larger deployments, you can have 10, 20, or even hundreds of access points that you have to manage. Can you imagine trying to manage them remotely one by one, right? If you had to change the configuration or even just to configure them themselves. Here with Nebula, you can deploy 100 devices into one site and give it the same SSID or the same sets of SSIDs that you require for private, for network, and have those all VLANed. And literally, as long as it powers up, it goes all to the cloud. All 100 devices go to the cloud, starts downloading its configurations, downloading its firmware, and then updates, and then it's ready to go. So you can really go and you can scale really fast on those kinds of deployments. So we also offered things like smart mesh to mesh the different wireless together to help with roaming. We use 802 1X authentication with WPA 2 and 3 enterprise security for radius integration for you to authenticate against the wireless as well. And then using roaming like 802.11K or 11R to be able to help with the roaming of those devices and the preloads into each then if you're doing radius authentication. You can still do things also like we have sophisticated ways to manage their signal strengths as well. So if a wireless user is at a bad signal strength, we have the ability to actually kick them off the network so that they move to, or help them to roam to another access point that maybe be closer to where they are, where they're located, so that they can get better quality of service in that. So we provide all of that intelligence there, even in the switching side, be able to provide intelligent PoE technologies and giving those kind of capacities for PoE plus, be able to provide network protection like loop guard, authentication, DHCP server guard, IGMP snooping, kind of broadcast storm issues and things like that we can protect against too. I think a lot of customers, and I think maybe a part of it is the side of like the Cisco side of things, where they're requiring or they're telling their users, educating their CCNA people that they require you need layer 3 in the kind of like the edge kind of switches, but in fact what they're just saying is they just need some features that can do security like ACLs, VLAN, 802.1x authentication or loop guard to prevent broadcast storms, things like that are not actually layer 3 features. Layer 3, typically when people want layer 3, it's like static routing or dynamic routing functions to actually route traffic between networks without having a router itself. But in most networks that we've seen in businesses that deploy that have like a PoE or access points and gateways, they just really need VLAN. That's usually my first question. What do you need? And they're like, well, I just need VLAN and bandwidth control pretty much. And then I'm like, you don't need a layer 3 switch. So you can do that all securely with this. Now, there are some lower end switches that don't have things like loop guard or DHCP server guards or that kind of authentication built into it because they're not kind of focused on that. But our switches have that ability when you work with it in both the standalone and in the cloud. And then virtual switch stacking, be able to provide a visibility of multiple switches to look like a single switch in a single pane glass. And the updates, because it's over the cloud, all the devices can get updates over the cloud as well. So the configurations, firmwares that can be then backed up as well. So you can back all of that up. If you're working in the security side where you're building VPN tunnels, Nebula also makes it easy for you to establish VPNs between branches, between site to site, or even hub spoke type configurations and devices on laptops. We've integrated now with our IPsec client to allow for you to manage them within the Nebula platform as well. So you can then drag and drop or help to configure those remote clients, giving them access to different offices there. So it helps you through that process of building VPN tunnels without having to know all the technical things about how to build a VPN tunnel. You can manage all of your clients under a single design organization, single pane of glass, where you have multiple organizations. Each organization can then have individual sites. So you have unlimited number of organizations that you can manage there. Again, all under a single pane of glass. You can give access to different customers, different visibility. You can give access to different techs that are managing different customers, different access to different organizations as well. So kind of gives you that visibility, gives you the kind of a heat map of what's going on. Are there some threats? So you can drill into each one of these organization sites and then see their different sites there, see the health. You can map it up to like a Google map there, and to be able to drill into each one. So if there's red flags, you can drill into each site, and then each site can give you also a health dashboard. You can configure and customize this dashboard too with the relative information that you want to provide. Now, this is a really great tool here as a managed service provider. Is you can give access to your customer to get access to this view or to their organization, but not organization and site, but they can't. They have view only basically access, so they can come in here. They can see the information. They can see how much bandwidth people are using, what websites they're going to, all that kind of cool information. And again, you can customize that. And not only that, you can then customize reports that are sent to your customers as well with this kind of information every month. Again, just to show how beneficial your MSP service is to them, or to provide that to them. David has a question. Do you have the ability to extend the content filtering on the firewalls to client computers when they leave the environment that has the firewall? So that there is an ability to do that if, let's say, only if you have built your VPN tunnel to force the users, if they want access to the corporate, you can build it into their laptop so that when they in order to access internet connectivity, it has to go through the VPN tunnel. Then you can perform that level of kind of policy. Otherwise, on the laptops themselves, we are working with some partners to provide endpoint security for that. So when they're away from the office, if they're not connected to a secure Wi-Fi connection that goes back to the office that we have implemented, I'll talk about our secure Wi-Fi feature that we have implemented currently. If they're not going through that way, if they're out just in a public hotspot, then there currently isn't a software yet that helps protect them on their own. So they have to be kind of either at the work office network, or if they're working from their home office that has the secure Wi-Fi feature enabled to push them back to the corporate network there securely. So it gives you all this visibility, how much bandwidth they've used as well. With Nebula, it also gives you a bunch of tools, things that you typically would need, to troubleshoot maybe different customers, things like remote CLI to do some command line to different devices there, remote cable diagnostics, both on the fiber and the copper. So you can get some diagnostic informations, maybe that the loop length is too long or things like that. You can do speed tests, ping tests from different devices. You can get a topology view to see where things are actually showing up that it's being connected, and also provides you detailed logs and audit information so that you can use that to troubleshoot. You can then get network information from notifications. Notifications both onto the app, through email, or through even mobile devices itself. and you can see all the different devices that are connected. So in this example, it's Wi-Fi connectivity. And so these are the different devices that are connected via Wi-Fi. You can see which SSID they're connected to, which device they're connected to, which their channelization. But very importantly, you can see is their signal strength. So you actually can see their actual signal strength, and this was really helpful to help determine. Like here, they're at a -69, so it's showing up kind of as a weaker orange signal there. It really helps you to troubleshoot. Maybe some user calls in, or you're trying to troubleshoot why, a certain person on their iPhone or something is not getting good connectivity, or they're complaining about connectivity. You literally can log in, find their device, find their MAC information, or even their user information there, and find out what their signal strength is. And based on which access point they're connected to and where they're physically standing, you can figure out, well, maybe they're just not in a good coverage area, or maybe it's also an opportunity for you to know that, well, maybe that's a dead spot. So I need to add additional access points in that area to give it better coverage. But you can also set then and see, how your Wi-Fi connectivity is and how your deployment is going, based on this kind of heat map here as well. So it really helps to troubleshoot those users, because typically before, Wi-Fi is very difficult to troubleshoot because you can't see it, right? It's not like a physical line that you can check a connection or anything like that. It's just in the air, and all the different materials and reflections that can possibly cause interference can be a lot of trouble. So it gives you, again, that visibility, gives you that insight where these access points are as well. And then you can click into and find out more information there. You can then also configure and manage the different ports on the switch level. So you can drill down to the switches and even reboot PoE. So maybe there is an access point that kind of seems like it has gone offline. You can then go over to what port that they're connected to and power cycle that port. So you can shut off the PoE and turn it back on. You can even schedule when the PoE shuts off. So in some applications, you either want to reboot devices, or you may just want to turn it off for security reasons. You can do that to schedule as well. And did I mention that it was free? So this is a free platform at the base level, and gives you free access to a lot of those features that I've already talked about. There's some differences between. We have products that are called Nebula Flex. They typically have the ability to be used in both standalone and in the cloud. But in order to use it in the cloud, you have to subscribe or add, licensing to it. We do have products that are Nebula Flex Pro, which includes typically 1 year of the professional Nebula Pro pack there. There are very specific features sets that benefit you in the pro level. The standalone base level gives you 7-day logs, whereas the Nebula Pro gives you a full year's worth of logs and a lot of other feature sets functions as well. So there's a lot of benefit if you are looking to become more like a managed service provider. Most of your customers will probably be on the pro side of things. But there are, deployments where you kind of want to just set it and forget it and have some basic visibility. Then you can use the free platform to compete against those. So we do have kind of the range between, the full-fledged version and the base version. But with the Pro, there are some features, like I mentioned, the visualized network. You can see it will automatically populate a visibility chart to see where devices are connected or who's connected to what devices, and be able to drill into those. But it gives you connectivity, and even also VPN topology as well, and throughput information between your offices and any VPN clients that are connected to it via the cloud. It also gives you access to IPTV broadcast information, reporting tools, network insights, so you can check with multicast. You can see and monitor the different channels that people are using and be able to report against that, be able to optimize against the network, or optimize the network to make sure that that kind of traffic for IPTV is more robust. And those reporting options, like here, this example, gives you access to what channels are being watched mostly, and be able to provide you insights on that information. So you can get that view here. And then also with kind of the Pro Pack functionality, in our security appliances, we noticed, we know that remote working is the big topic. Most people are trying to find ways to work remotely, and have been doing that for the past year and a half or so. But most of them are not realizing that they are insecure connectivity, or maybe it's not as secure as possible, because they're using maybe their home Wi-Fi network that is probably more wide open and subject to different issues, or maybe vulnerabilities that are there. So we offer through our security firewalls and our wireless access points, what we call secure Wi-Fi. And secure Wi-Fi is basically the ability now, using our Usg Flex or ATP in the Nebula cloud, building a secure tunnel without having to build any kind of special clients there. You put a remote AP out in the home office, or maybe the traveling employee also takes an AP with them that they can plug in. If they have kind of an office that has maybe a hard connection there that they can plug in for connectivity. But what it does is it builds a secure tunnel, just like your VPN software does on your laptop, automatically back to the Usg Flex to the office. Now the user then only needs to connect to that SSID, and it could be programmed for 802.1x authentication, and they can use their laptop that they normally would at their office. And what it does is it builds this layer 2 a secure tunnel there, and it makes it behave as if they were sitting in the office itself. So all of their network shares, all of the printers and things like that they would typically find and be able to have access to at the office network physically, they're getting access while they're sitting remotely as well. So it's a drop-in access point. And what it does is it allows for you to securely build a tunnel through any device. So you don't have to open up different ports or anything like that. You don't need to know or have access to the home router. As long as it's plugged into the LAN side of it and has internet connectivity, it's going to be able to build a tunnel back to that office and be able to allow for you and all the different devices, like your phone. Maybe you have a VoIP phone as well that can be plugged directly into this remote AP to get connectivity. You can do all of that with this solution, be able to do it securely. And then all of the security policies that you had while you were in the office, like content filtering or intrusion detection type things, or malware protection things, it's all going to be there, available there, protecting that network connection back to the office, so not to expose that office environment. So it really allows for you to do things too, as because of this, do some collaborative network defense. Using our APs and our gateways and our security gateways, we're able to actually manage some of the threats and be able to block them at the endpoint, at the edge of the network. So if a user is infected, we actually can block that user from further getting connectivity and isolating them from infecting other networks or other devices that are part of that network. So it's a collaborative network defense response that we've integrated into our security solutions with our access points. Now, speaking of access points, again, I'm covering kind of a lot of things really quickly. Let's see, Paul says, might we have any access points which have a second Ethernet jack? It could be used for the secure tunnel. As a second one, most of the access points on the larger level or the mid-size one do have a initial, like an uplink access point, uplink port, and then it has usually one or two other Ethernet that is a pass-through, or like allows for you to be part of the LAN as well. So there are models that have that. Now the low end models may only have like just a single Ethernet jack, but I think a lot of the Wi-Fi ones that are I think it's the WAX like 510 and the 610, those ones typically have multiple Ethernet ports there that you can use for the, to pass it through, also through that tunnel. So you can figure for that. But with wireless, there's a lot of pain points. Some people just, they're like, hey, I just deployed the newest, latest, and greatest, and I'm still not getting connectivity. Or I've added now 5 access points in my area, and I still don't get good connectivity. What's going on? Why is my performance not helping? And most of that, the issue is because of code-channel interference. The more devices, the more APs, the more clients that are out there, it's going to cause a lot more noise, and it's going to affect throughput and affect performance of that. I mean, we've seen that example, all the time, where you see, I have great signal strength, but I can't pass any traffic. What's going on? So what we want to talk about is smart antenna technology that Zyxel has. It's a patented technology. We're only one of 2 vendors that have anything like this right now with a static, compared to a static antenna. And it helps to mitigate. It's all about RF mitigation. So the smart antenna, how it works. So let's say you have an office environment here. You have things that may cause interference. It could be an access point, could be other types of, interference that are there, but it can affect, client devices that are in that area. So they may have some bad throughput or things like that. Now with smart antenna, what it does is it actually looks at and creates, and looks at different optimized patterns. So up to 700 optimize patterns while kind of interfacing with the client, it takes less than 100 milliseconds to figure out what's the optimal beam combination to dynamically shape that Wi-Fi beam to that client. So what it in essence does is it cups its hand so it can speak louder, like I'm doing here, and then at the same time, it is then also listening better by cupping its ears. So it's focusing that information or that to that client to improve performance, improve connectivity, and improve obviously quality of service. So even as the station moves, then it's also going to dynamically change to find another pattern that fulfills that device. So with codechannel interference in general, it's like multiple people, multiple lanes merging into one kind of channel, trying to pass information and talk. And my example is my 3 kids. If all 3 of them are standing there and trying to talk to me, I can't understand any of them, so it has to be one by one, in order to talk to you. So that's what codechannel interference is that everybody's trying to talk through Wi-Fi at the same time. Now, Wi-Fi 6 does help because Wi-Fi 6 is now kind of multi-channel. It's able to optimize to all the different channels and talk to multiple people at once without having to, deal with kind of the issues with those kind of packets colliding and then resubmitting and stuff like that. So smart antenna and Wi-Fi 6 helps with that. And the overall goal of that is to increase capacity, increase coverage, reduce the interference. So it overall gives you a better quality of service. And all of our products, including our Wi-Fi products, have been designed to optimize all that to kind of have the least interference possible. You could see all of our shielding in our antenna bases there. All of our Wi-Fi chips are also shielded as well. Also, the backplane is shielded to prevent interference from other access points or devices that are next to it or nearby to it. And because of what we've designed, it's really robust, and we back all of our products with a lifetime warranty. So as with using Zyxel products compared to a lot of kind of the low end models that have maybe only 1 or 2 year warranties on the more consumerized type Wi-Fi, our business class Wi-Fi products are all lifetime warranty backed. So we have a wide range of AC, Wi-Fi 5, and Wi-Fi 6 products, both indoor and outdoor, or even in like in-room or on-wall type products. So again, there's a lot that might be overwhelming to you to figure out. These NAPs probably could go away because we were transitioning now over to all the Flex models. So these are also our WAC, our AC Pro models. Remember, anything that's Unified Pro also include 1 year of Nebula on it. And then our outdoor, these are our smart antenna technology, indoor and outdoor products. The outdoor then has a waterproof and also heating mechanism as well inside there to handle extreme weathers. And our Wi-Fi 6 products that we've launched this year are WAX series, so wireless AX. I mean, it just kind of makes sense there. From the low end with our NWA all the way to the WAX 560, 650S, which is our flagship smart antenna, multi-radio, 5 gig uplink ports. So those are the products there on the Wi-Fi that you want to take a look at if you're looking for Wi-Fi. Now, switching side is pretty, straightforward. Most switch products are pretty standard, but we do things a little bit different as well to kind of that help to kind of put us ahead of some other products that are out there. So I wanted to cover some basics since it could be confusing. On our naming convention, ES is just Ethernet switch. We don't typically have those anymore. They're all gigabit switch, which are GS models. Our XS models are 10 gig. So that's a Roman numeral for 10. It supports 10 gig or multi-gig type switches with 10 gig uplinks. Our XGS are gigabit switches by normal ports with 10 gig uplinks or multi-gig uplinks. And our MGS is our metro switches. And if they ends in P or HP, then they are PoE powered type switches. If it ends in an F on the model name, then it's a fiber switch where the major ports are all fiber SFP ports. Now, speaking of switch ports there, SFP ports, we do have combo ports on some of our models. The combo ports are one Ethernet RJ45 and one SFP, and they are numbered the same. So you can only use one or the other. You cannot use both at the same time. So just keep that in mind. They'll both be numbered like here in this example, port 9 and 10. and but there's 4 physical ports. So just depends on what you're using it for, but it gives you flexibility on whether you need to use Ethernet or SFP fiber to uplink. Now, SFP and SFP plus is just the naming for gigabit, and SFP plus is 10 gig fiber. So you have to use an appropriate transceiver to give you the connectivity and the length that you need for the distance. Now, PoE is the most important application, and that's the most popular application that's out there. And I'm sure most of you are been having trouble finding any kind of PoE switches out there in the market today because of allocations and shortages and all that. But the classification here we use typically is PoE plus. It's a 30-watt class, is 802.3 AT supported. It's all backwards compatible. And you'll start seeing more switches now with the 60-watt standard. It's known as Ultra PoE. It's the 802.3 BT solution. So we have some switches that will do that. And some of those switches I'll cover here too. But one of the main things, because of the main application, is PoE. We do things a little differently. We have intelligent PoE. When you're using Zyxel, we're able to detect the power that comes from the device itself and allocate that to the budget. We can control each port as well. You can schedule things to turn on and off or reboot. So, if you have IP cameras or other types of devices that may need power cycling or even just access to the port, you can do that via our switches. So if let's say you have a VoIP application, so you have with intelligent PoE, if you're using a kind of a different switch, maybe a competitor switch that has only classification mode, it's going to look at the phone and say, well, I need to allocate 15.4 watts to the device against the budget. So using 24 of these devices in classification mode, you would need 370 watts of power allocated. In this example, it fits, it's okay, but in consumption mode, the phone only uses 9 watts. So you actually would be budgeting 216 watts. Now let's take a look at an example where you actually may run out of power or you need to overpower it. So in this pan-tilt zoom camera, the classification mode for it requires 30 watts. It's more than 15, so it requires 30. So if you want to power up 20 of these cameras, it's going to cost you 600 watts of power budget to do that. Now with Zyxel's consumption mode, because this camera actually only draws max draw at 16 watts, it only needs to budget out 320 watts to do 20 of these devices. So it fits within the 375 watts. You don't need to spend extra on a larger power budget or larger power device, but you can do that with just the power budget that's available in the product. So again, you're running it with less power. You're also running it with a better better efficiency at the same time. Be able to power more with the power that you already have. David asked, do you see availability price getting better in Q1 2022? Yes. And that's pretty much in general. We've been catching up on a lot of products by end of November. We'll see a lot of our back orders already be kind of flushed through. There may be certain models, maybe like the 8-port and 48-port PoE switches that are still kind of in that harder allocation mode. But we do see kind of because a lot of these forecasted models have already been forecasted for the last year. That's kind of the lead time that a lot of the situation is on some of these switches. So it's going to kind of clear up there. But overall, you'll see kind of the overall market will still be in kind of a, I would say, allocation mode, because a lot of the chipset vendors are also allocating and not overproducing either. So they're kind of maintaining a certain production level so they don't overproduce. And so the demand is still high. Now, whether or not the demand is real demand or just kind of inflated demand, that's something for us to find out and see. But we have, again, wide variety of PoE budgets for the low budget count for maybe small applications, maybe just a couple of VoIP phones, maybe 1 or 2 access points, that kind of thing. But then on the higher end, we also have higher budget models there, up to 1,000 watts. And then our Nebula Flex switches, which is our most popular switches, is our 1920s, 1930s series type products. So these are probably your main ones that you would use to deploy in any kind of applications. The XGS has 10 gig uplinks. The XS model is a multi-gig switch that has 10 gig, 2.5, 5 gig ports as well with PoE. So those are typically the ones you would use with our Wi-Fi 6 type products. So this is kind of just a little bit more detail on the 1920 series. And on the PoE Plus, the gig, 10 gig, This is where you're going to throw a lot of, this is where you're going to have a lot of benefit with 10 gig and also have the PoE plus. So some of the Wi-Fi 6 applications, you definitely need this kind of switch to do those deployments. So the XS1930s is probably your best bet with the multi-gig and the 60-watt PoE. So this is a very popular switch now to deploy with Wi-Fi 6. And last but not least is our partner program. If you're already part of our program, thank you very much. And these are some of the benefits that you get. If you're not sure of what benefits you're getting, you can again contact our sales reps there, and they can tell you more on things that you have access to. But typically, we want you to get to the gold tier, because if you do 12K in sales in 6 months, then you can get the maximum benefit from your discounts over at distribution. We use DNH, Ingram, Synix, Wave, Target, and Pace distribution there for your services there to get connected. If you want to get connected with us in LinkedIn or in YouTube, that is our account there, company /Zyxel-US-channel. And on YouTube is just /Zyxel America channel. Find out more. So if you have any questions that you didn't need or didn't ask already and you want to find out more, please feel free to send me a question now. But because we are just 1 minute over on our presentation, please send me an email then to tri@zyxel.com if you have any questions, or to your sales rep to be able to help you out with any questions you have, again, with any projects you're working on, any products you're not sure on. So this is just kind of a big kind of overview of what we have. We do have detailed webinars or more detailed information on any specific products you're looking for. Again, reach out to your sales rep and we can get that all to you. Until then, until next time, well, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon now. And again, wherever you may be, hope you have a great day and look forward to working with you soon here at Zyxel. So thank you again for joining us on this Tech Talk. Have a good day.